What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of this unnamed show. I saw in the YouTube comment section someone called the Kung Flu Chronicles. I like that. We might do that for a little bit. But we're back every single night. We've been here. And before we start sipping, because I know we all sip, so before we start sipping, I just want to just make a little bit of an observation, share something with you guys. My entire life, I never understood public executions. You know how back in the day, they would, like, execute someone in whatever that city's version of Times Square was, right? There was that, like, guillotine thing where they chopped their head off while their hands and, like, feet were, like, locked into that wooden device, right? Mm-hmm. They would hang people publicly, but it was always done publicly, right? And I'm like, why the fuck are they doing this publicly? Why don't they just bring them to, like, some private area, execute them kind of like we do now with, like, the electric chair? I never understood the public execution. And then these fucking retard celebrities started singing John Lennon's Imagine, and everything made sense. All of them should be stoned. 100%. The fact that you could even, and I know I spoke about this. I know I spoke about it. Alex is covering his face right now. But I'm telling you, I know I spoke about this yesterday. I realized I didn't give them enough ether, so we had to come back again and restart. And that's why we're holding off the cheers, because I need to get this out of the system, okay? The fact that these celebrities from their fucking mansions could be telling us how good the world could be, it drove me crazy. And if I had corona and they came up to me and asked me to do this, I would corona spit right in their fucking face. The fact that anybody could even consider doing this. How delusional do you have to be? How detached do you have to be? I mean, this is how the next Purge movie should start, right? The rich people singing on their yachts, right? And the poor people go, you know what? Fuck this. Are they taunting us? Are they literally on Instagram Live? Hello, Instagram Live. We invited Instagram Live into the episode today. Are they taunting us? Are they letting us know how great their quarantine is, right? Celebs always live in quarantine. This is nothing different from them, okay? They're singing a song about how the world should have no possessions in their mansions. Do they not get what's going on here? There's literally a line in the song. What's the line? Imagine no possessions. You know who doesn't have to imagine that? Most people who don't have any fucking possessions. I don't need an imagination. I'm looking around. I see nothing. I'm living it. I get it, John. I fucking get it. The rest of the line goes, no greed or hunger. All people sharing all the world. You celebrities do not want to share all the world, okay? You've quarantined yourselves in your gigantic mansion. You didn't ask the poor people in downtown Los Angeles that are living in tents if they want to join you, did you? I mean, you got plenty of room, right? I see them. I literally see them. They're fucking on a horse galloping around their backyard talking about, I can't wait till this quarantine is over. It's been really rough. It's been really rough just taking my giraffe for a walk and just bathing in my infinity pool. What could I ever do? What could I ever do? It is absolutely mind-boggling, and it drives me fucking crazy. And I perfectly understand the human spectacle around murdering someone in public. I never got it before. Now I get it. And I like the idea of a stoning. I think stoning works. Okay? Don't let me ever judge that rule or law, Sharia law, as archaic ever again. It's not archaic. It's not antiquated. It works perfectly in 2020. And if they start singing another fucking song, I think we got to charge the mansions. I kind of mean it. I believe it. We got nothing to do. Might as well keep 6 foot distance. You know what you can hit somebody from 6 feet away with? A stone. It's actually the perfect weapon when you think about it. Okay, it's flushed. I'm out of my system.
Yes, please.
How you doing, Al?
Cheers, brother.
Guys, let's start it out. We always start it out with a cheers. What are we sipping on today? We're sipping on some good stuff, some Macallan 21 year, and it's finished. We'll probably fill it up with some other brown liquor and not tell anybody so we can look bougie. You see how real we are, dog?
You know how we do.
We're real out here. Alex is still recovering from his roast. If you guys haven't seen that on Flagrant 2, go check that. It was brutal. Guys, let's just get this started. Let's move things along. Number one question that we all have to consider is, how do we not get fat? How do we not get fat during this fucking quarantine, all right? I know there's a few of you knuckleheads that are out there like jogging and shit and hiking and that kind of stuff like that, but most of us are paying attention and obeying the rules and staying in our fucking apartments, and we're trying to find ways to not get fat. I'm doing the push-ups. I'm doing the sit-ups. I'm doing the squats. I'm doing the lunges. I don't know what made me skinny before. I don't know if it was taking Ubers. I'm not exactly sure what kept me in good shape, but the second I stopped doing that, I'm starting to get a little pajito, okay? I'm starting to get that gordito. So, I was thinking of an idea. It's not novel, but maybe we all try it together. 2 meals a day. Maybe we cut it down to 2, right?
Okay.
We're using way less calories. We're walking around our small apartments. I assume a lot of you guys have an apartment, maybe a house or something. I assume you don't have a giant backyard where you can do whatever the fuck you want. And if you do, then this obviously doesn't apply to you. But if you're in a city or, that's an urban city and you're living in an apartment, you're really not moving around a lot. You don't need to use that many calories. Well, why don't we reduce the calories? 2 meals a day, right? 2 meals a day, less money spent on food. Less money spent on food, less money spent on toilet paper. Everything starts to work out. We could try it. There's one issue, though. When you're bored out of your fucking mind, food is something you look forward to. It breaks up the monotony of the day.
I was just going to say that.
Right?
All this time, I'm just learning how to cook for the first time.
Right? So what are we going to just stop learning how to cook, stop doing a thing that offers some distraction? I understand that. We have to decide whether we want to be beautiful, okay, or bored. You decide, okay? You can be beautiful and bored. A lot of you hotties watching right now are used to that. What? Boring? I don't know. I messed it up. I'll blame it on the McAllen. We still haven't sipped. Cheers.
Thank you.
And we're in it. So, an update. What's been going on? California has locked it all down in the most California way possible, okay? It is so funny. The governor is basically said, stay inside unless you need to take a walk, man, or, unless, you need to hike Runyon County or Canyon or whatever the fuck that is, but make sure you stay inside, and only essential commerce is open. But weed is essential commerce, man. Like, people need weed, it's not a drug, it's medicine, man. All this shit. They basically said, you better stay inside, but we're not going to enforce it if you don't. And there are plenty of things you probably like doing outside, so just do those things outside. It was the most bullshit, passive approach to quarantine I've ever seen. And I hate to say it, but it's probably gonna end up fucking people over. I really think in times like this, you need to be Asian about it. You need to be dictatorship. You need to be authoritarian. You need to just say, do this or else we run over you with a tank. That's how shit works in China, and people obey, right? They go, maybe I should be inside, okay? The tank guys are out there. I don't want to get run over. I really think that's the best way to make it happen. Stay the fuck inside. That being said, Alex and myself leave our apartments every single day to come here, so maybe we're hypocrites telling you that. But
this kind of feels like the second room to my house.
Okay, yeah.
Because I don't really see much of outside. It's like straight into the car.
In, out.
Boom. To studio, home.
I agree with you. That's fair.
Yeah.
We are complete hypocritical bullshit artists. Do you see how fast we convinced ourselves like it was okay? We're like two dudes at a strip club about to get our dick sucked. Like, it's not cheating if, she's going to do it to both of us. It's like multiplying negative numbers, right? As long as we touch dicks, it's gay. Huh?
It's like I asked my friend's girlfriend at the bachelor party, how much is he allowed to do?
What was her answer?
Son, she almost slapped me.
Yeah, she should.
Yeah. I watched too many movies.
Anyway, so what's going to happen in New York? You've seen a lot of shit, a lot of talk, right? We've seen the videos pop up with the military vehicles, right? We've seen helicopters flying around. Are they getting ready for a nationwide shutdown? Everybody's friend's friend has sent them a text. Maybe that's something we need to stop. Stop sharing your friend's friend that works for the fucking CDC. Like, not everybody got a friend that's a friend that works for the CDC. Well, my cousin's brother works for Trump and they sent this. People are making up these text messages. They're never right. Okay, they're assuming the most obvious things. right? They're literally going, hey, you know what I think is going to happen? They're going to shut down laser tag. Yeah, they probably will shut down laser tag. Talking about shutdown, buy Instagram Live. Tune in later tonight. Yeah, but stop sharing it because people start getting freaked out. They start thinking things are going to happen. I mean, I shared one with my girl, and this morning she ordered $500 from Whole Foods. Baby, what are we doing?
Yo.
Whole Foods down the block. You ordered $500 worth of food from Whole Foods. How much dried mango can you get? Dude, she's ordering like arugula.
How do you order $500 worth of groceries?
Bro.
Period.
And here's the thing. This is why technology fucks with you. I get updates on my phone, right? So I just get daily reminders of how anxious my girl is, and daily reminders that our money is just being spent on the dumbest shit. Cherry tomatoes. Cherry tomatoes are not for quarantine. Okay. Yeah, cherry tomatoes.
I don't know about that. I might have to debate that one. It's refreshing, son.
No,
it's refreshing.
It's nice. It's a nice thing to chew on. It's a nice thing to take a bite out of. Okay.
Yeah, no prep.
But it's not for quarantine. Do you know what I mean? Quarantine, you get a little canned food. Quarantine, you get some rice. Quarantine, you get it's food for war. Food that's gonna last a while. A cherry tomato lasts 25 minutes tops. If you don't eat a cherry tomato by the time you get it back from your apartment from Whole Foods, it honestly looks like a booger. It turns into a booger, right? You could sneeze out a cherry tomato if it's 40 minutes after you buy it. So let's get the important things. Make sure you're getting the important things. I really truly don't believe that there's gonna be a shutdown in New York. Sincerely, don't think it's going to happen. A couple reasons. One, I don't think that, and by shutdown, I mean they're going to tell us to be inside, but we can pretty much do whatever we want. I mean, in the same breath that Governor Cuomo today said, make sure you stay inside, in the exact same breath he said, but if you need to go outside and go do a hike, then go do it. I mean, he took the California approach after criticizing California. And I get why New York is freaking out, because New York has the most corona cases in the country. That's right. We the best. 7,000, baby. Step it up. Other states, y'all ain't shit. We got the most World Series and the most corona. Fuck with us.
Best state.
That's it. But in all seriousness, the reason we have the most is because we're testing the most. Okay? Corona works like anything else. You can't have positive cases if you don't test for it. So the more you test, the more you're going to find out that people actually have it. Right? I mean, I used to tell a joke back in the day. I never had an STD. I've also never had an STD test. Boom. That's how you don't get it, right? And that's really what a lot of states are doing it. There are states right now claiming they have 0 corona instances. Yeah, because you're not testing for it. Of course you have 0, right? You know where else they have 0 corona instances? In Antarctica. Because they're not testing for it. That's how these things work. I like the fact that New York is testing, and I think that's what's going to get us back to work early. Let's hope it works out. We posted the online test that you can get where they actually mail it to you by Everly Well. We did that in the last video. Make sure you go check that out. Another thing that's very important to clear up, because we've seen a lot of people on the internet doing this. Alcohol, right, is not sanitizer. Okay? There is alcohol in sanitizer, but alcohol like this is not sanitizer. Rubbing alcohol can be used to sanitize things, but it needs to be at least 60 proof in order to sanitize. Is that right, Al?
60% alcohol.
Sorry, 60%, which would be 120 proof.
Yes.
Right. So it needs to be at least 60% alcohol, okay? Don't pour some Tito's on a napkin and then start rubbing down your living room, okay? You're going to smell like an abusive stepfather. That's not what you want for your house. You want to make sure the shit is clean. You want to make sure you're clean, but do it the right way. Let's keep moving on because I think there's some interesting, cool, important things people know. If you're in the New York area, they said there's going to be 90 days, no evictions from commercial or residential places. That's massive. You got laid off. You can't afford to go to work. Sorry, you got laid off, you can't afford your rent, you're not going to get kicked out of your place for 3 months. I think that's huge. Take advantage of that shit if you can. Go look that stuff up immediately, but Cuomo announced that today. Now, that doesn't mean if you can't pay rent, don't pay it.
I was just about to ask that. So I was like, word.
So here's the thing. It's 30 days you can't be for 90 days you can't be evicted. I interpret that as on the 91st day, get the fuck out. That's how I interpret that. Now, you might be able to negotiate something with your landlord. And if I were you, if you're having a tough time, go talk to your landlord. Because realistically, what's your landlord going to do? Get somebody new in there? Nobody's moving during this time, right? Yeah. Nobody's looking for an apartment in Manhattan when the whole thing is quarantined. Everybody's home. So you could go to your landlord and go, listen, I'm dying out here. I don't have a job. You know no one else is going to move in here no matter what. Why don't we work out a different price for the quarantine? And if that helps you, it actually helps him too, because now he's getting more than zero. You were going to not pay, right? And now you're willing to pay some. That, I think, is a smart thing to do. Make sure you talk to your landlords. And if you are a landlord, right, and you're renting out to other people, go ask them. This is a crisis. This is crisis time. Go ask them. Talk to them. Say, hey, man, what can you guys pay? What can you guys pay? In a few months, we're going to bump it back out to where it's supposed to be. We might be able to even bump it back more and you start paying off the debt that you accumulated. But what can you guys pay? Let's work it like that. Try to be a good dude during this shit, man. It will pay off 100%. The better you are during a time of crisis, the better you get treated during times of peace. I truly mean that. And I truly believe that, man. Yeah. Yeah. Take that, Jay-Z. See that bar we just did out here? I'm going to sip to it. Now let's talk about some financial shit. Are y'all as confused as everybody else is?
Yup.
I think we're all fucking confused when it comes to these things. So we had a sit down with this economic guru. Shouts to James, man, and he broke some stuff down, and I want to share it with you guys because I think a lot of terms are being thrown out there that truly we think we know, but we do not know, right? Like we hear terms like government bonds, GDP, recession, bailouts, right? We know what these terms mean, but we don't really fucking know what they mean. Okay, so why don't we break them down and I'll explain how they affect the economy during normal times and how they're affecting it now and what this means long term. And hopefully that helps you guys understand what's going to happen with the economy and why certain decisions are being made. Right? So let's just start with a bond. What the fuck is a bond? A government bond. A government bond is it's a U.S. Treasury bill, which doesn't matter. Piece of paper. Who cares? But basically, the government is treating itself like a business on the stock market, and you're investing in that business, right? So when you buy a $100 bond, the government basically is saying, hey, I'm going to pay you back more than $100 on this bond in a future date. So maybe I'll pay you back $105 or $110. Maybe you'll be able to make 10% over this many years, okay? Why is the government doing this? Same reason why a business on the stock market would do it, to raise funds, right? Why does it want to raise funds? Because it can then put that money back into the country, right? It can do like public works projects. You could repair the roads, build bridges, fix some bridges, right? Fix tunnels, fix the highways, all these types of things that need to be fixed and actually get Americans back to work. And when Americans are working, there's what's called liquidity in the market. Money is moving, right? There's consumption and production going on. So that's what the bond is there for. Now, Congress decides what we do with that money, okay? But basically, it can go to any of the things that I was just explaining to you guys. Now, a lot of you are probably asking this question. It's a valid question. If we're all broke and we don't have jobs, how do we buy the bonds to raise money for the government so they can put it back in our pocket? And by the way, when I talk about government put it back in your pocket, what are other things you've heard about? Bailout, checks, and we're going to give everybody $1,000 each or $2,000 each. Where does that money come from? It can come from selling these bonds, right? So basically what happens, other countries can also buy these bonds, right? So if we're all broke, we can't afford our bonds, other countries can buy these bonds. You've heard of people always say, China owns half of America's debt. Yes, of course. It's a great investment. That's why they invested in it, okay? Buying their own debt, which is what they'd have to do if they're not going to buy ours, is way more expensive than buying ours. It's the best deal. Buying ours is by far the best deal. And I'll tell you why it's the best deal. Because it's the safest investment in the world. In the last 250 years, America has paid back every single one of its lenders, if you will, the people that bought the debts. America is like the Lannisters. Debts are always going to get paid. That's how it works, and that's why people or countries want to do that. So if our country's broke, we can sell these bonds to other countries around the world, raise capital that way, and then flood our own market with the capital so people are back to spending, etc. GDP. And this will all make sense when we bring it all together, but I think it's important we all get an understanding of this shit. And, it's something that I learned and I wanted to share with you guys because it's valuable. What the fuck is GDP? Okay, we all know what it stands for, right? Gross domestic product. But we don't know what it means outside of that, right? It's like, DNA, right? Our bodies are made of DNA right now.
Yeah.
That stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, right? I know what it stands for. I don't know what the fuck any of those things are, right?
Schulzy.
But you know what I'm saying? I don't know what that is. I know the word, but it does nothing. Like if someone's like, yo, get me some DNA. Oh, you mean deoxyribonucleic acid? And then I'm done. I can stop helping you right there. So what is GDP, right? So it stands for gross domestic product. So basically it's, how like an IQ test measures your intelligence? GDP measures the strength of an economy, okay? And they get it by measuring everything that's produced and consumed, okay? The more production and the more consumption in your economy, the higher the GDP. Now, recession. We've heard these terms of recession. Everybody's a recession. We just go, oh, that means the economy's bad. Here's exactly what a recession is. There's an actual defined term, recession. It's 2 quarters. A quarter is a 3-month period. Right? 12 months out of the year, that's a quarter of the year. 2 quarters of negative GDP growth. So that means the GDP, that consuming and producing, is negative for 6 months at least. To put things in perspective, the Great Depression, there was 2 straight years of negative GDP growth. So the opposite of growth, there was a recession for 2 years of it, right? I mean, that's pretty fucking crazy. So how does the coronavirus cause a recession? Well, pretty simple. If nobody is producing or spending in a recession and the corona quarantine has got people locked in their apartment, those people in the apartment can't go out and consume, right? They can't go to their jobs and produce. So if you can't go out and consume or produce, you're not consuming or producing, GDP goes down. You do that for enough months, now we're spiraling a bit. Now we're going down. Now, what is the problem with the recession? Now, remember what I was telling you about those government bonds in the beginning?
Yes.
The bonds, the whole idea that the reason why the government is selling those bonds is because it's cocky. It's confident. It's like, yo, we're America, baby. Yeah, give me 100 now. I'll pay you back because I'm going to take that 100 and I'm going to flip it. Imagine America's the drug dealer, right? We're fronting you the bag, but we're like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to double this bag up and I'm going to pay you back that half cash. That's easy. That's light work because America, like any other country that's successful in the first world, is assuming positive GDP growth, right? It's going to make some money. So now it took that 100 and let's say it made 150 with it. It could pay you back the 110. We still got 40 extra on top. We're good. But what if you're in a recession? A recession means what? Negative GDP. That means the economy is going down. Now that 100 isn't worth 110 that you were supposed to pay back. What if it's worth 90? What if it's worth 80? Now you can't pay back your debt. But these people want their bread. Just like the head drug guy that fronted you the bag of drugs. He goes, yo, I don't give a fuck how much you sold it for. I want what is promised to me. So if they start calling for that money, and you don't have enough money to give it back to them, you have to spend basically even more of your capital to get them that, which hurts you even more, knocks GDP down even more. You see the negative spiral that it creates? Things get fucked up. So what is the solution to all this? The solution is don't let the economy get to a point where it's in recession or receding. Remember, what keeps the economy going is consumption, production. And that's why you hear people talking about bailouts or giving people checks, right? So they're like, hey, let's just give people some checks so we can keep that consumption going. And let's give a bailout to these businesses so we can keep that production going. Because as long as we got that consumption and production going, we keep that GDP rising. And then those bonds that we promised to pay people back, we could pay them back, no problem. Everything's Gucci. So essentially, they're throwing money at the problem until it fixes itself. That's the idea. Now, here comes the interesting question. We've heard this before, and this is where shit gets real cool and funky and almost like rigged, right? You've heard of companies being too big to fail.
Yeah.
Remember that? Right? Like when the auto industry got bailed out. I think it was Obama that bailed out the auto industry, right? And then Bush bailed out the banks, if I'm not mistaken. I believe, right? Doesn't matter, right? So it basically it means that a company is so big that if it went under, it would have such catastrophic effects on the economy. It's actually better that the economy, the American government, bails it out. In other words, a company that employs so many people, right? We're talking about tens of thousands of employees, right? And those employees take that money and they spend it in their local markets and their cities, et cetera, and they support those other businesses within those cities, right? You've seen this happen in certain times, like the auto industry when it moved out of Michigan, a lot of it. Entire cities went under, right? I think Flint, Michigan is a perfect example of that, right? Sometimes businesses are so big and they have so many employees that if they go under, the catastrophic effect, the ripple effect, would actually be worse for the economy than if the economy just bailed it out. That's when your company's too big to fail. And now you hear these situations where like, well, why aren't we bailing out mom and pop businesses? Because unfortunately, only mom and pop and a couple of people get hurt when mom and pops go down, right? When that cool spot that has the chocolate pancakes goes down, a few people get hurt. When the auto business goes down, the entire global economy can potentially get hurt. That's too big to fail, right? So here's the question. Here's where shit gets interesting. If we acknowledge that a company is too big to fail, are countries too big to fail? I told you America was acting like a company, right? With those bonds, the way you invest in the bonds.
Yeah.
So is a company too big to fail? And yes. And guess what? Here's where it gets crazy. You don't even got to be that big a country to be too big to fail. So there was a time where Argentina, right? Argentina is known for its beef. You ever had Argentinian beef?
Yeah.
Matter of fact, when we were in Australia, when we went to that bomb steak spot, that was Argentinian beef. Some of the best beef in the world.
That was bomb.
So Argentina, right? Let's say Argentina, with their beef, supplies, I think, 25% of the world's beef, right? Okay. That is a stable protein that people rely on for their diet. And there's a steady price, right? Let's say that Argentinian beef comes off the market because the country fails and the beef industry fails and everything's over. Now, beef around the world goes up in price, right? Mm-hmm. People have to spend more money for that beef. That means they have less money in their paychecks to buy other things with, right? That means the local economies, and by local I mean other countries' economies, are affected by that beef, that lack of beef production over there. Their GDPs get affected. And because of that, when this happened in Argentina, the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, it doesn't really fucking matter. There's another thing called the World Bank, but whatever. Who cares? We don't even get into that shit. They went in there and they're like, yo, we got to restructure Argentina's debt because it's actually more hurtful for the world if we don't restructure their debt. If we make them pay it off, it's actually more hurtful for the rest of us. So if Argentina could affect the world, imagine what America could do, right? If you scroll up a little bit for me. So America, we don't supply the world with beef. Do you know what we supply the world with? Money.
Money.
Money. Okay, we provide capital to the world. So imagine China, Europe, Africa, wherever the fuck you think, imagine they don't have money to spend. Remember what we spoke about? The most important thing in an economy is consumption and production. Well, what if you don't have any money to consume and any money to produce? Right?
Okay.
Your economy goes down the fucking tubes. Every country goes down. Okay? It's mutually assured destruction. If our economy goes down, everybody else goes down. And maybe there are other countries out there that are willing to risk that. That's possible. Who knows? But my assumption is they're not. Okay? So it's in the global economy's best interest to bail us out. China can't wait to buy our debt because China needs it. China benefits from it. All these other countries, they cannot wait to support that because they also rely on us. We're intertangled, okay? That Jenga piece, we got one left at the bottom, and we're that motherfucking piece. So all these other countries are not waiting for America to fail so they could swoop in and take what's left. No. America goes down, they go down. They fucking know it. So best case scenario, because I don't want to leave this shit on anything bad, best case scenario, we're able to make sure lives are good by bailing people out. We throw some money at the problem, right? We either do it through bonds, we either do it by printing money, but we find ways to get money in people's hands so they can continue producing and spending. And now it's hard when you're quarantined. When a virus has you inside your house so you can't spend, thank God we had the internet. I'm sure we can get a lot of consumption going on the internet. But hopefully we get past this next maybe 8 weeks, and then we get back out there and we get to doing what we do best, right? Is grinding, working hard, and spending the money we work hard for. And then we'll build up some debt from this, obviously, but hopefully if the economy rebounds, we could pay it off at a later date. That's best case scenario. There are plenty of worst case scenarios, and you guys will hear them every single day on the fucking news because that's what they want to do. They want to scare your ass. That's why we're here doing the show, because every time we turn on the news, you just hear bullshit and people fucking lying and supporting their own narrative. You never know what the fuck to believe or not believe. And it stressed me out. I would literally be watching the news stressed out and be like, why am I stressed out if I don't even know this is true? Mm-hmm. So we just sat here and we're like, fuck it, let's just give people the truth. We're going to give you the truth, and then we're going to give you our opinion on it. And that's really what it is. Okay? I will give you truth, and after that I give you my opinion. You might disagree with my opinion, but you can't disagree with truth, right? That's one thing about truth, man. It don't get old. Facts. So yeah, that's best case scenario. There was something we said that we would touch on at the end. Al, what was it?
Hitting pause on the economy.
Oh, so yeah. Well, that was the whole idea of like hitting pause. A lot of us have been curious about what happens if you just hit pause on the economy. And you can't do that for the exact reason we were explaining. By hitting pause, you stop the consumption and production, which is the peddling. Like, you know how a shark has to swim in order to breathe? Mm-hmm. Think about that as consumption and production. So if a shark stops swimming, the water stops flowing through its gills and it stops filtering out the oxygen and water so it can breathe, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with the economy. If it just hits pause, if we stop, that consumption production stops, and then it just dies, just like the shark swimming.
See, I was thinking more like hitting pause for just like rent and mortgage, like those big bills, so people can still have money to buy, consume, go out, things of that nature, and then whoever is owed that money to the banks, you just bail them out.
That is one option, and we were talking about that. It's something they could consider, which is like bailing out certain industries, right? So you don't just do this overall bailout. You basically go, hey, everybody's not working, so you put some cash in their hand, and we're just going to bail out the things that they still need. Electric bill. You don't need cable, but sure, cable, internet, rent. So the bailouts go to those specific industries. That being said, that doesn't really help those businesses that rely on people spending their money there, right? So best case scenario is it's a constant spend. It's a constant movement, and we just keep on going. Hey, we'll give you some money, and you know what? If you want to pay rent with that, pay rent with that. If you want to go out and get ice cream, go out and get ice cream. Just fucking do something with it. That's their thinking. Was there anything else, though?
No.
Not really? Guys, man.
Just a fitness thing you wanted to show.
Oh, yeah, man. I had a dope workout I wanted to share with you guys. I tried this. I thought it was pretty cool, and we're about 30 minutes, so we're going to get out of here soon. But it was a...
You want to just show them tomorrow?
Yeah, matter of fact, how about we do that? How about tomorrow? We'll be back here. We'll show you. I think there was one more thing at the end we want to say.
Peace, love, Europe.
What was that?
Well.
Oh, no. There was one more thing where I was like, yo, remind me at the end to say it.
I don't remember.
Anyway, we'll check it out, man. So come tomorrow, we'll do a cool workout that we're working on, and any cool new Corona hacks we've been hearing about. I think I have one that's kind of cool, and might be a little bit fucked up, but can't have fun without pissing someone off. So tomorrow we'll talk about that, man. But hopefully this shit is helpful to you guys. Hopefully you can brag to your friends about how much you know about the economy without realizing you just learned it from some idiots on the internet. And yeah, hopefully you guys have a good night, man. We really appreciate you guys, tuning into this. And I'll be honest, this is like, I don't know, people seem to be really grateful for these, man, and that makes it easy to make them, and it is hard to do these. It is hard to kind of like, just take in all this stuff throughout
Touching
the day.
your face. Son.
Also, he's touching my face. Alex said he's going to put a meter on for every time I touch my face, and you guys should take a shot. That's something we'll do if we're trying to kill people.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, man, it means a lot. It means a lot to you guys. I don't know how to phrase that, but it's really cool. And we're going to keep doing it as long as you guys keep valuing it. So we'll see y'all tomorrow. Cheers. And as always, peace, love, and...
You're...